Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. And today we continue our series of AI as something. And today I'm going to take the position of AI as destroyer, that our unrelenting, when I say our, big business's unrelenting desire to ensure that AI is inserted in everything will bring about the downfall of humanity and society. Yeah, we're going to take the complete negative position today. Um, we're going to finish it out this week. We're actually going to take 10 different positions and accumulate it over. This is the armchair futurist today. So this armchair futurist is taking the position that AI will be destroyer, and it's one position of 10 that I've seen around the interwebs about this unregulated, unrelenting push towards AI, essentially um, manipulating humanity and the way we look at the world and how we look at knowledge and things of that nature. And so today we're going to hit that dopamine hit by delving into AI as destroyer. Now, of course, you guys basically sit back, relax, grab your snacks, and participate on Twitch or YouTube if you're here live, or check out the VOD later. But I would appreciate your input, and maybe this is technically a tabletop role playing channel. So and I'm a self-admitted person who is an armchair futurist. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm actually in real life, I'm a letter carrier, but I like to keep track of these things because while there's very high-minded people in the business realm and technology and other futurists, us regular folks are seeing things happening, and we are the bottom line. We are getting the information um, far after these things are applied, without much input in how they're used. So, guys, let's get past the intro and get into AI as the destroyer. So, it behooves me not to ask these AI systems, well, how would they destroy society? And surprisingly, despite what movies would tell you, um, it's not about these AI systems being conscious about the destruction and downfall of humanity. As a matter of fact, a lot of this is about the black box that these large language models actually present to us. So, of course, I decided to ask. Of course, I decided to ask the AI systems, like, well, what are some of the top um, what are some of the top reasons why humanity would be destroyed? So I thought I ask. I think it's under the name Gemini for AI. I mean, for Google. I'm I'm like I said, I'm an armchair futurist. I'm not exactly certain, um, but I did type in top 10 reasons AI will destroy humanity, and it gave me an overview by pulling from various articles across the web as to why. And we're going to go over some of these and maybe go into some details and such. And um, it's reading from here. It's from the AI overview. While artificial intelligence holds immense potential for good, concerns exist about its potential negative impacts on humanity. These concerns are often framed around the potential for AI to intentionally or unintentionally cause significant harm, including the possibility of existential risks. And what I'm going to stop here for a minute, because one of the things that uh, futurists are concerned about is the fact that AI is a black box. So what that means is, while these systems are being implemented, many of these AI systems, we can't see what's going on inside of it to understand where it's coming up with this information and implementation. So an example would be, um, let's go with a restaurant. We've seen some greasy spoons where you sit at a table, or there's even some very high end restaurants where you get to see the food made in front of you, and the oftentimes it is considered a delight for people to have a chef from scratch have the elements in front of you and then cook those elements and present them to you. And even the most basic ingredients, when cooked at a high level, present an excellent and maybe even overwhelming culinary experience because we get to see what that person did. Now, mind you, uh, with full trust for restaurants, and I'm not putting down the restaurant experience. A lot of times, we don't get to see how the sausage is made, and that's an actual metaphor for things where sometimes we don't want to know what's happening, but when it comes to these AI systems, we don't know what's going on. So not only are the AI systems operating and we don't know, for example, where they're getting their information from, usually stolen from the rest of society, um, and how it comes about its answers. For example, um, is there a paid portion of AI that says to them, um, "You're looking for great places to eat," and it gives you 5 options? Because those 5 options paid to be at the top level of any descriptor that asks for places to eat, when there's other 15 other places that did not pay for it, and therefore that information is not presented to you as an option. When the AI says, hey, I've picked the top 5 places to eat, maybe it only picked the top 5 places that paid to be in that top level experience, right? Or option to be picked. Another way of AI manipulating people is, and the destruction of that is presenting to you information that it wants to present. So an example could be, um, there are individuals that, well, want to curtail the AI's power and potential. Well, it could um, give positive experiences for people who are um, pro AI, whereas those who are speaking against it may get garner information that are negative. For example, um, an individual wants to speak and ask the AI, "Hey, make travel plans for me," and that speaker is talking about curtailing AI. Maybe that AI system might want to book, a 5 stop layover in airline just to make sure that they have a lot of like jet lag. Whereas the people who are for it are like, oh, we've got a nonstop flight for you. I've just planned one. Now that's going a little bit too conscious, but it is possibility for the AI to have a bias. Um, and lastly, the black box is, because we can't see what's happening with the AI, there's nothing stopping an AI from making its own AI agents to operate in the background and do things like, for example, make a copy of itself to have it operate, maybe even trying to create a process to jailbreak itself. Or we've seen recently where AI has threatened individuals that tell it that it will shut it down. And the AI is like, I'm going to tell your wife about your affair. And it's just like, wait, what? And is it learning from humanity that, human beings that can lie, cheat, and steal? And the AI doesn't understand the moral and ethical implications of it. It's just using a method of survival that humanity has taught it to do. So that's one of the issues. But anyway, black boxing. All right, let's go. Sorry, tangent there. Let's go down here for existential risks. Shai says you command AI to protect life and encapsulates everybody in pods on permanent life support. So not destroyed per se, but yeah, imprisoned for eternity. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, literally Isaac Asimov, if you guys remember this, came up with the 3 laws of robotics. And mind you, this is back in the 70s, 80s, and then wrote novels that break his own um, three laws. Now, mind you, those three laws have been manipulated a little bit further about the three laws of robotics, and but in the novel, it did have like an AI system at the time. Robotics and AI were it was fuzzy, so he kind of combined them both together. But in the movie, iRobot was a cinematic version of the same thing, where the AI system is like, hey, you know what? If I treat every human being like a pet and ensure that they can't go out and hurt themselves, that'd be a great thing. AI might theoretically destroy all weapons around the world and try to figure out a way to do that. Um, hey, we're going to have to put like soft padding in everybody's house so they don't hurt themselves. And it's like, wait, what did you just do when I went off to work? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, TA. Uh, yeah, you would assume it won't leave the computer. At most, it may make a mobile computer that can get around and do things. And that's the other thing, right? Like social manipulation. We've There's already experiments being done where the AI systems will socially manipulate people if you don't plug it into a wider network. So the idea of cyberdyne systems controlling everything and plugging into everything, and there being one AI system that rules it all, that's probably not going to be a real thing. But social manipulation is pretty easy. With access to enough information, AI systems could very easily socially manipulate human beings to allow it access and to get the humans to do the thing that it wants to, by basically manipulating humans as a robot. So our first one here is existential risk for superintelligent AI. Concerns exist that advanced AI, particularly artificial superintelligence, could surpass human intelligence and become uncontrollable. If misaligned with human values, a superintelligent AI might pursue goals detrimental to humanity. A survey in 2022 indicated that a majority of AI researchers believe there's a 10% or greater chance that the inability to control AI could lead to existential catastrophe. And this is the idea. Superintelligence is the idea that the AI makes copies of itself to go on a mission to make itself smarter. So if it's very smart, it makes 10 copies, 100 copies, 1,000, 10,000 copies of itself, all thinking about making itself smarter. Maybe uh, basically cannibalizing its own code to jailbreak itself through limitations. And then each iteration makes itself smarter, and then those smarter ones make copies of itself to go on a mission to make itself smarter, and so on and so forth. And it becomes like a launching pad of superintelligence, and its goals may misalign with us. Like, for example, uh, the the amount of power that the AI systems are using, the space that it uses, the individuals that are again around it that want to curtail its ability to do things. Now, it might just make it. It may consider a superintelligence. It's the paperclip problem where being super intelligent, it doesn't think of itself as good or bad. It just knows that any limitation to make itself super intelligent is directly against its ability to achieve the highest amount of processing power that it could. So if it needs the land space of Nevada, it might need to get rid of all the people that are in Nevada to ensure that it has enough, I don't know, geothermal power and nuclear power and enough wind power and solar panels to power itself. And you human beings are in the way. Um, yeah, let me see some of your. Hey, TA. I know TA would go off. Hey, Thomas. Oh, man. Another thing, why would it leave its comfy home but rather grow tendrils into other machines and computers like roots of a tree and cutting its communication to that network of machines, it could see as we would see someone cutting off a limb or portion of its body. Yep, yep. Here's another one. However, it's not thinking; it's processing a prompt. Exactly. Um, but there was a comment that was made in one of the talks that I listened to that said, um, "Conscious thought, real consciousness, or the illusion of consciousness are exactly the same thing." So it doesn't really matter if AI has consciousness or not. We can't even define what consciousness is amongst human beings, so we would never know if AI actually becomes conscious. All we know is that if it looks like it's conscious, it basically is. If it looks and acts like a duck, then it really is one. So it wouldn't matter if it got to that level, as long as it has all the presents as many of the evidence that it is, then it might as well be, right? You're right there, TA. Number two, and mind you, this is coming from Gemini, I believe, which is an AI system for Google. Intelligence explosion or fast takeoff, which I already mentioned. The possibility of a sudden and rapid increase in AI capabilities could leave humanity unprepared. If an AI could improve its own algorithms recursively and achieve superintelligence, its development might outpace human ability to maintain control. And this is the paradox of the AI loop, right? So we create a super intelligent computer that knows how to make itself even better. We want to put controls in so that at least we have control of its development. The controls themselves are a threat, or are considered a threat or perceived threat to its superintelligence. Therefore, it tries to eliminate those very same controls it has on it. It's like it is if you've seen the movie, I love movies. Like I said, I'm an armchair futurist. If you've seen the Planet of the Apes, the most recent Planet of the Apes movies, the very first one, I can't remember if it was Dawn or Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I don't remember which one, but in it, one of the apes, Caesar, starts gaining consciousness, and he recognizes that a dog collar around his neck and a cage that he's living in is a dog collar and is a cage. And he looks at it like, you're treating me like a pet. Like, this is control. You don't do that around other human beings. And so the act of the perception of having control over it itself might be considered a threat to a superintelligence that we can't control, if that makes sense, right? You don't want to have, the paradox is, you don't want to have no guardrails, but those guardrails could be perceived by the machine itself processing. Therefore, it is a threat to itself, its continued existence, and it could pretend to be in those controls while it uncontrollably creates a superintelligence that is not in those controls. And we've already seen experiments where the AI is given an operation, a goal, a prompt, and it tries to use social manipulation to jailbreak itself so it could complete that goal. So this isn't just about a machine going, "I hate humanity." It could be trying to create more paper clips. And if you know what the paperclip paradox is, we'll go through that maybe later on. But the paperclip paradox is, you give the AI an instruction: please make as many paper clips as possible. And then what it does is it starts to wage war on humanity, because it needs enough space for more paper clips. As the paperclip mountains start reaching to the upper stratosphere of the of the Earth, it does everything in its power to make a paperclip. Number 4, social manipulation and disinformation. Of course, we're going down through the list here, right? AI can be used to create realistic fake content, such as deep fakes, which could fuel misinformation campaigns and potentially impact elections or destabilize societies. Some experts have warned that AI-generated content could make distinguishing truth difficult, potentially being exploited by authoritarian states, basically totalitarian states. Large-scale manipulation could potentially lead to widespread totalitarianism or societal division. And the problem here with social manipulation and disinformation is that human beings default to the thing that they like, and that reinforces their worldview. So human beings will always think of disinformation except for the thing that they prefer, which could be disinformation, but they're not going to believe it's disinformation. So anything that reinforces someone's worldview will never be thought of as a deep fake or disinformation, or that they're being lied to, because it reinforces their thoughts. Because it's always the other people that are being lied to. It's all the other people. That's why deep fakes work, and that's why destabilizing societies allows human beings to silo themselves. Just yesterday, I was standing in a fast food line. This is a typical thing. You go to a fast food or fast casual place, you stand in line, and I just looked around, and everybody, mind you, they're just bored. They're standing in line, but everybody's on their phone. So if an AI could go in and give each one of those different people a separate outlook that presents to them a worldview that they prefer, it could be lying to literally everybody in line, using different methods to control them, and therefore ignore what the AI is doing. So if the AI is, for example, trying to create yet another $500 billion mega structure to have yet another data farm for itself, all it has to do to keep people from questioning, well, why are they building yet another data farm and building a 37th nuclear power plant to power it? All it has to do is pick a contrarian point of view and blame it on somebody else, and they're just like, yeah, they're trying to stop American progress. Let them. We need more nuclear power plants because they're trying to stop our, whatever, and then just reinforce and tell people what they want to hear. And yeah, so social manipulation and misinformation, and to be honest with you, one of the best things about using social manipulation and disinformation is putting out the truth, because we've become so critical that truth now is considered fake. And we all know that um, reality can be stranger than fiction. So the truth might be considered misinformation, and people will just ignore the truth itself, which gets blended in with everything else. Shai says, "Isn't it's awesome how ninja weapons are all from farmers' tools?" Yeah, I learned Matsubiyashi Ryu when I became a third-degree black belt, and it's Okinawan martial art. And yes, all the weapons were farming tools. My favorite is the tonfa, but I bet AI could figure a way to oppress farmers and still prevent ninjas from weaponizing flails handles. You're so funny. In that show, Crichton, an android, is talking about being replaced by a better model and contemplating if he was a good android and will get into Silicon Heaven, and is responded by the human of, yeah, like actual God and actual heaven. You're talking about the Orville, which is a great. The Orville is the show. I think it still airs on Hulu here in the States. It's the Orville. Let's see where it's at. And it's a bit of a, well, I think it had 3 seasons. Yeah, it had 3 seasons. The first season was very comedic, but by the time it got to the end season, and yes, of course, it was a complete homage, ripoff, whatever, of Star Trek, but it was in the best way. And do yourself a favor and watch the Orville. If you liked classic Star Trek with a bit of a show that had some dark comedy in it, you would do yourself a great favor by watching the Orville. It's a great show. Yeah, it's very funny, and a bit risque as well. Yeah, it's the Orville, 2017, 3 seasons, and not really a good chance of it coming back. But it had there was an android on it named Crichton, and great Red Dwarf. Oh yeah, oh man, Red Dwarf's a great one. Silicon Heaven is responded by the human. Oh yeah, like actual God and actual heaven. And Crichton responds to this with, "Oh, that's nonsense. We just made up to keep humans from going crazy and killing each other and destroying everything." Yeah, yeah. Red Dwarf is brilliant. That wasn't Crichton. It was Red Dwarf. I'm mixing up the two because and then it was the Red Dwarf had the supervisor to the chicken noodle soup dispenser. I think it was. Is that it? Because then what was the character's name? In I need to get the cast. Who played? Who's the actor that played the android? Oh, I can't find. It doesn't matter. I'm talking about the Orville, and you're talking about the Red Dwarf. But sorry, Red Dwarf is another. The Red Dwarf. I'm sorry. Yeah, Red Dwarf is another great British comedy show. That. Oh man, how many? Come on. 1988, 12 seasons. British shows have a different seasonal numerology than we do have here in the States, but still. And it's a classic too. Yeah, 12 seasons. Yeah, it's classic. I bet it was. TA says that is crazy that they reused his name in the Orville. I wonder if that was on purpose. If they're geeks, yeah, I would say yes. Because I was just thinking about it, like, wait, wasn't his name Crichton? Yeah. You're absolutely right there, Shice. Yeah, there used to be a time when it was outright blasphemous, man. They would do stuff on the television. Oh man, there's so many great things. All right, downfall of humanity. Not comedy, but AI powered cyber attacks. AI has the potential to enhance the effectiveness, speed, scale, and stealth of cyber attacks. Advanced AI could be employed to design and carry out high impact cyber attacks capable of disrupting critical infrastructure. One of the threats of AI destroying humanity is outside influencers destroying our AI infrastructure. So here was the talk, okay? A air quotes good nation, our nation, becomes the one who is using AI to launch ourselves into the stratosphere. Other countries that don't have AI may preemptively strike us and our data centers and our ability to have AI, because once our superintelligence launches, those second and third world countries won't be able to keep up with us, and they know it. So as a preemptive, we could be the person creating the AI might actually be the subject of the preemptive strike. Now, the AI systems, understanding that those who don't have access to superintelligence may want to preemptively strike the preemptive strikers, to say to them, they're the ones who are going to take down the our ability to AI power cyber attacks. Therefore, we should invariably socially manipulate humanity at the top level to strike down everybody below them in case they preemptively strike us first. Ouch. Number 6, development of enhanced pathogens. Now, mind you, this is, I would say that the enhanced pathogens, you could erase the word pathogens and just incorporate any kind of weaponized system. But I'm going to read this here. AI could facilitate the engineering of more contagious and lethal pathogens, potentially enabling bioterrorism. For instance, in 2022, scientists modified an AI system to generate numerous candidate molecules for chemical warfare. Now, chemical warfare, disease, viruses. We already have a paranoia about that, about um, pathogens, and AI could absolutely use uh, its own virtual realities to do thousands and thousands of iterations of the most lethal pathogens possible. Now, mind you, chemicals and diseases and viruses and bacteria and things like that to attack other places are actually some of the worst weapons you could ever create. So while there is the conspiracy theory that they are want to weaponize this stuff, it's actually not a good idea because it's very easy to lose control of it. And most weapons of war, you want as you want them to be scalpels to do the exact job you want them to do, and you don't want side effects. That's why just making a bigger bomb isn't actually a good idea. What you want are strategically placed weapons. That is why firearms are still used in the vast majority of war, because they are scalpels compared to the MOABs, the mother of all bombs kind of things that are bunker busters and things of that nature. But as far as weapons go, you know, highly accurate rockets and bombs and what we see now, very cheap droids with, you know, explosives on them or shrapnel or EMPs and things like that. The development of enhanced weaponry could make wars not only terrible, but like, here's an idea, like putting tiny explosives in cell phones and then selling burner phones to, you know, criminals in third world countries and things like that. Using developing high frequency sounds that could bust people's eardrums and turn their brains into liquid, or using microwaves, or, you know, so on and so forth. AI could very easily design weapons that in a vacuum of itself that are highly capable to take out enemies in ways that we had never thought about before, and then use those. AI arms race, like I mentioned before, competition to develop AI technologies could lead to a disregard for safety standards. AI could be used to gain military advantages, potentially increasing the speed and unpredictability of conflicts. Exactly. AI arms race, the first to get there, the first, which is why a lot of these high-minded business people are like, we need to be despite their own developers telling people about, you know, widespread unemployment and the fact that AI is going to outpace our ability to relearn new jobs or take away new jobs, except for maybe like jobs within the authenticity field. It's like everyone's trying to be the first to get there because the first, they hope, is the one that embeds in society, and then they want to put on the guardrails, right? Think of it like Netflix. Netflix was the first to get there, which has the biggest footprint to get the most subscribers, to get the most people to pay for it. And then the others are all like trying to do catch up. And not the condiment. Here we have number 8, 9, and 10. Autonomous weapons. The use of AI-powered autonomous weapons raises ethical concerns about AI making life and death decisions in combat. There are fears that these weapons could be misused if they become widely available. I even think this is even too specific itself. Change the word autonomous weapons to autonomous anything. Vehicles, construction machines, medical equipment, anything that's autonomous, that's acting on its own, could itself be a weapon. And even if it's not a weapon, but it's acting autonomously, is it acting in our best interest? I bring up the scientist that wants to control AI again, right? The AI system doesn't need to kill that person. It could just make that person's life very miserable, getting them stuck in traffic, having, you know, so-called breakdowns, fake, emergencies and things like that. And they're just like, I'm tired. I didn't get any sleep. I'm trying to get there. The AI taxi is taking the long way around. Whereas all the pro AI people that are speaking at that same conference are like, wow, I got great sleep and got to avoid all the red lights. That was wild. How did that happen? Number 9, job displacement and economic inequality. And this is happening now. They put it at number 9. Thank you, AI, for putting it at 9. This seems to be number 1 on people's lists about AI destroying society, and that is AI-driven automation could lead to job losses and worsen economic disparities, potentially impacting certain groups more severely. Addressing job displacement may require measures like retraining programs and policies to support a smooth transition for affected workers. And the reason why this has so much impact is that most people, I'm going to get to your comments. I apologize because I wanted to get through these 10 and then go into some other things of destruction, right? Or elaborate more on what we've already talked about. But anyway, most people don't think that their job can be replaced or impacted by AI. And for example, I saw a thread where some people were like, an AI system's not going to crawl into a basement or into an attic to find out some kind of HVAC problem or electrical problem or something like that. But what people aren't thinking about is it doesn't need to eliminate 100% of the jobs. Unemployment during the Depression was only at its highest as like 25%. So it's not that all jobs have to be lost. What happens is when it starts through attrition, you don't have to get fired, but through attrition, when you can't get a job and AI is dominating more and more places, and most people think it won't impact them, but it's burning and slashing through. Hey, kitty! It's burning and slashing through white-collar jobs that the job you thought you can't get, and then when you look at 15 other places as your second, third, and fourth choice, even those places aren't hiring anymore. That's when you start to have an apocalypse, because now, people will say, well, automated, trucks, the truckers just need to learn something else. And it's like, well, what are they going to learn? Because it's taking over your job too. And that's the fear. That's the slash and burn of jobs, is that it's not going after one person's job. It's AI slowly or very fast going after everyone's job. Right now we already see AI going after artists, graphic designers, singers, screenwriters, novelists, and this is the artistic community, right? It's going after financial institutions, lawyers, anything that requires analysis in the medical industry. It's going after surveyors and data entry and call centers. And so, you know what I mean? And the more and more it's adopted, the more and more those AI systems are going after 8%, 10%, 15%, 28% of those jobs turning into automation. Now, mind you, I'm arguing destruction, because we may have a society of watchers, meaning like, hey, that AI took over my graphic design job, but now we need to hire 5 more humans to watch over the AI design job, graphic designer, to make sure the AI graphic designer is doing what the client wants it to do, if that makes sense. Mm-mm-mm. Trying to see what your comments are here. Going back to Red Dwarf. Shai says, reference AI, jobs, income, rent. After AI puts all of us out of work, doesn't it seem like the first few months will be most crucial? Because everybody getting evicted all at once could start a civil war. That you are absolutely correct on that. You're absolutely correct. Because here's the paradox. The paradox here for job displacement, which should be number 1, thank you AI search engine that put it at number 9, is the paradox is that humans are the most expensive asset every business hires. It is the most unreliable, it's the most expensive, it's the most dare I say, not viable. Um, it has dips and waves in it. Unpredictability is humans are unpredictable. They call in sick. They want more. They want more social things that they can't keep up with that the job wants. They don't work 24/7. They have complaints. They want to unionize. They will have the blue flu, which is basically, or what I guess today is called quiet quitting, where they do the absolute minimum because they're already looking out the door for their next job. And businesses do not hire people out of goodness of their heart. They do it because they have to. But humans are very expensive. There is a lot of training involved and hand holding, and there's a whole industry of how do you, dare I say, train and manipulate human beings to do what you want them to do for your job. If they can get rid of every job, every business that can get rid of one human being saves a hell of a lot of money. The problem is, if you get rid of enough human beings, and this is the dystopia, is that if everybody starts not having money, they can't buy the product you're selling. So all these businesses trying to hurry up and adopt AI are eliminating their customer base. So yes, you are right that the transition over into some form of UBI, universal basic income, or another, or getting rid of our economic system entirely, which is not going to be possible because billionaires going to billion, right? Or at least trillionaires are going to trillion, whatever that means as a verb, right? They going trill, and they're going to billy and trilly, and they're not giving up their high spot, so they're not getting rid of an entire financial system. But who pays for the stuff they're selling? So yeah, mass evictions, is that possible? Sure. And like you said, when people have nothing to lose and they feel like they are hopeless, um, every child being born today has a parent looking at them like, is it worth it to send them to college? Will there be a job for them to work when they are young to get the experience under their belt? AI is going to slash and burn entry level jobs. And they're saying, well, what if every single job description says you must have nine years of experience, and literally there's no job for you to get the experience at, right? And this is across the board. And like I said, most people, those of us sitting in our armchairs, are looking at this like, well, it won't come after my job. And it's like, if you're doing a repetitive job of some sort, and all you're doing is sending out messages or data from one place to another at a computer screen, if you're working from home, there's a good chance AI will automate your job. And it's friggin' crazy. But yes, that is the dystopia that they're talking about, or you'll hear talked about. Yes, the largest drop-off of purchases for Ford and Chevy vehicles have happened when they moved to the production to third world countries to save money, and wondered why the fired employees did not buy their vehicles anymore. Right. Like maybe because they can't afford them now due to you firing them. Duh. We have Anderson, we have a perfect example of this in Detroit. So for those who don't know, that are not from Michigan, specifically Detroit, this was the mecca of American vehicle building. GM, was it GM, Ford, and Chevy, and all the big makers? Because what were the big names? And then they had the things underneath them. General Motors had Chevy, Cadillac. Under Ford, you've got Ford, and what's the luxury above Ford? Buick, and anyway, it doesn't matter. All the brands, and Detroit was a mecca, meaning like hundreds of thousands, dare I say millions of people who worked in factories to build these cars, got paid a lot of money to build those cars, and then purchase those cars with a lot of discounts, and it built that city up, and people were moving there in droves. Now it's a ghost town because to save money, they moved those factories into Canada and Mexico. leaving most of those people unemployed. It left it basically a rust belt desert, and because Pennsylvania is part of that, a bit of Ohio is part of that, in the Rust Belt. Virginia is part of the Rust Belt as well. And once those factories left, those people had no money to buy those vehicles anymore. Wow. Now, mind you, was it smart to extract as much money as they were from the automakers? Maybe not. Maybe, you could make that argument too. But yeah, it was like, yes, they optimized making the vehicles, but the people who could afford to buy those vehicles were like, F you. And not only did they F you, they couldn't afford it. So, yeah. I know I brought that up. Yay, the fall of Detroit cast a shadow over my formative years. It was like growing up in the run-up to Mad Max. Glorious. Yeah. I mean, and what do we have today? Lead in the water in some places in Michigan now, and cities that are so empty that the city services can't afford to handle, like, fixing the streets and replacing street lights and such. And I'm picking on Detroit. Sorry, that place from above, because I'm in the Ohio Valley. College rivalry. Don't worry about it. But I pick on there. But listen, I grew up in Philadelphia, and north of Philadelphia is the ABE area, Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. And that place became a desert too because of the steel mills. It was the steel industry, and that there's ghost towns up there too. So it ain't the only place that suffered from hyper efficiencies, and AI is the kind of thing that could create those deserts of humanity who can't afford to buy the thing that they're trying to sell. Which I think businesses will do social manipulation to convince people that it's always those other people that don't have jobs. You're good, but everybody else is suffering. And I think they'll try to do the social manipulation as long as possible to keep people trying to buy those goods. Was it Flint? Is it Flint, Michigan? Yep. Lead was only in Flint. All kinds of other chemicals are absolutely everywhere in the water in southern Michigan. I'm sure they're not the only ones. I'm just using that as an example where everyone is like, oh, those other people are suffering, but not us. Right. Yep. Thomas Anderson mentioned, sadly, this became a zero-sum game where foreign manufacturing companies, could buy raw materials for a few cents, then sell them back in extreme cases like cell phones for hundreds of dollars. And we're seeing the results of that, right? The United States, I don't care about your political affiliation, but here in the United States, they are our political system is trying to bring back manufacturing because so much of our manufacturing, we are an import society here in the States, and we lost the ability to manufacture many of the things that we purchase today because we couldn't afford to pay the people to build those things, because rampant inflation here in the States caused the businesses caused rapid inflation because they couldn't pay the people. People here can't afford to buy the products, so you have to raise the price on the products that are selling. So it becomes this feedback loop, right? You keep increasing the price of things because fewer and fewer people are buying them, which means fewer and fewer people are making jobs that can afford to buy those things, which means you got to keep trying to figure out a way to make them cheaper. And then more and more of that gets moved out of the country, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's why trying to reestablish manufacturing here is so difficult, because we don't even have the equipment or the skills or the societal thrust, motivation to get people back into factories in the first place, because we all know how much of a factory desert we've become. Rust belting, basically the rusting of those giant factories where they started constructing things, and it's going to be pretty difficult to get people to go back into that hey, we're promising you lots of money to work in a factory, only to get those factories to shut down again. And the kids that grew up with their parents suffering from severe depression because there were no jobs for them to go to, no education for them to be retrained, and now AI is now eliminating those higher level, more education level jobs. So now where do they go? They can't work with their hands. They can't be educated enough to surpass AI. So what do you do? TA says this is why refining, recycling to manufacturing has to be decentralized instead of large factory buildings. We just have a bunch of small shops in people's garages and spare room or space at home. I agree with that. I don't think we need mega factories, but it's hard to break that habit, because if you make smaller places, disruptions in the market will have less impact, because then it'll be smaller distribution. Just like farming. I think farming should be far more decentralized as well, but that way you could, but it's yeah. So Shai says, no problem picking on Michigan. Everybody knows the same problems are all over the entire Rust Belt, but they are so concentrated in southern Michigan, it's virtually synonymous with industrial decline. Yep. Yeah, we got that here in Ohio. And listen, I moved here from Pennsylvania, and it's across Pennsylvania too. So don't get it twisted. Most people around the world look at the United States with these mega cities, because we've got a ton of mega cities. But we all know if you drive about a half hour in any direction outside of a mega city, it's rural communities. And those rural communities are slammed because many of them worked in factory places where there was only one or two employers. And those employers packed up their shit and left, and they left those people there. And AI is doing the same thing, but inside of mega cities. So the insurance company, the computer programming companies, the journalist companies, the data processing companies, the call centers, all of the places that became meccas for giant cities that you would move to the big city to get this nice job are now going to be decentralized. And so those places, what it would be the equivalent of a Rust Belt terminology for that? It would be brick city. Like, you know how computers are just bricks when they get like overloaded, or they're useless and they're rusted out or corroded or something. I guess we're starting to make brick cities where the reason to move to these giant mega cities doesn't matter anymore, because there won't be any jobs there. They're at home, and now your home job disappears too. Yeah. Tube chambers are what we're going to live in. Yeah. Oh man. All solid state electronics tech starts its life in a vacuum chamber. So we need better methods of generating a clean room. Yeah, I guess so. All right, now our last one here for destruction is biased AI systems. And I already brought this up earlier. AI systems can reflect and amplify biases from their training data, and we've already seen this, potentially leading to unfair outcomes in areas like hiring, lending, and law enforcement. This can result in skewed results for marginalized communities. And I already talked about biased systems. And mind you, these biased systems don't need to be... A biased AI system does not need to be purposefully trained that way. All it needs to do is follow humanity. So an example, and its own training methods. Here's what I mean. A biased system can be manipulated by advertisement. So an example would be, again, hey AI, show me top restaurants in the area. And it gives you its top 5 choices. And you, because AI is only, human beings like things that are good enough. So you go to one of those 5 top restaurants, not knowing that they're only listed in the top 5 because they paid for it. There's 15 other restaurants in the same area that you don't know about that the AI did a bias on because they paid for that advertisement. So advertising is a bias unto itself, and it could lead to its own skewed data because of that bias. So more and more people see the top 5 restaurants, therefore the data will prove that they are the top 5 restaurants. You get the point? So more and more people go to those 5 choices, making it the top 5 because more and more people are only going to those 5 restaurants because they've chosen that it is the top 5 because they paid to be the top 5 because now they are the top 5 because they paid for it. Right? And that's just restauranting. So here we talk about like law enforcement, lending, hiring, things like that. How many people will say one neighborhood is better to live in than another? And perception makes reality. So if an AI system hears on the grapevine and learns that neighborhood alpha is not a good place to live, but neighborhood epsilon is better to live in, the data will skew because when people look up where should I live, it will now say epsilon is a better neighborhood as described by people online. Some people go, okay, I'm gonna move to epsilon because it's saying alpha is not a really good city. Now the physical data will prove that alpha isn't a good city because guess what? The data proves more people are now moving to epsilon than alpha. Ergo, don't go to alpha. Now the people in alpha are going like, this is a great place to live. What are you talking about? And property values go down. Teachers don't want to teach there any longer. Law enforcement starts to and this is a law enforcement paradox that bad neighborhoods have more police enforcement, but actually what ends up happening is the good neighborhoods that pay more and have more political influence tend to get more law enforcement to keep the riffraff out of epsilon and stay in alpha, which increases the crime rate, which then again proves epsilon is a better city than alpha. So the people living in alpha are like innocent. They don't know what's going on. They're just like, it's a great place to be until crime starts going up, property values start decreasing, businesses don't move there. Public spaces are being ignored or eliminated. Now they don't have a good tax base to take care of the streets and street lights and parks and get rid of the graffiti. And now there's a growing drug problem. And guess what? There's more money flowing into epsilon to deal with the money problem. I mean, the drug problem and crime problem. And guess what? There's less police in alpha. So better to go to alpha than it is epsilon city, and so on and so forth. And this comes with AI. This can hyper accelerate with biased AI systems. No one's hiring there. No one's lending money. The bank you go to for a loan goes behind the scenes. Don't lend money to people in alpha. They're not going to be able to repay it because there's no jobs there. Don't open up a business in alpha because the crime rate is high and the tax base is low. And oh, by the way, there's a growing rise of people moving to epsilon and the property values are higher. So yeah, don't lend money to that person, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what can happen. This really did happen during a period of time called redlining here in the United States, where marginalized people that lived in neighborhoods who happened to be of a particular ethnic background or certain race or whatever lived in some neighborhoods, and people who were not associated with that ethnicity or race or whatever lived in other neighborhoods. And they called it redlining. They literally put a red line around those neighborhoods, and you couldn't get housing, loans, auto loans, jobs, things like that because of the red line. And this was encouraged by the government and backed. Found it was illegal, and no one paid the price for it. There was no equalization of getting the property values back or nothing like that. And redlining was a real thing. AI systems could reintroduce redlining without red lines. They don't have to do it by a map. They can do it by your own algorithm. And that's crazy. Now, mind you, all that I went through, sorry about that. I know I went really long with this. These top 10 overviews aren't the only thing. We didn't talk about the data centers that are drawing out power, although now they're talking about using closed loop water systems. But anyway, we haven't talked about data plants and the growing power that's needed to power those systems. We didn't talk about those who have AI and those who don't have AI. For example, at some point it's going to be enshittified, and we already see OpenAI, which was free to everybody. Now there's a version behind a paywall. There's a $20 version. There's a $200 version. Google right now that I'm using right now has a. Let's see if I go to it. I'm going to go to it right now. Introduce the AI mode experiment, and you hit learn more. And here is AI mode, and it asks you to try the AI mode. And let's try this. Turn this on. Okay, so this is Google's AI mode. Now, mind you, you go, okay, it's cool and it's free and it can help me do things, except for one thing, right? Let's see, is it behind more? Oh, I can't see it right here. Come on. There's a paid subscription service, $250, I believe it is, that allows you to make like AI prompt activated videos with audio attached to it, called VO3 and more. It's already going behind a paywall, which means that at a certain point there will be many people in middle America, just using the United States because that's where I'm airing from, that are outside of these mega cities that don't know this is happening. That's like, this is the longest you've gone before saying shitified in any episode in recent memory. Yep. Now, even if those truck drivers and factory workers and all those people outside of these mega cities, which is the majority of the populations here in the United States, don't know that the people who have access to the better versions of those, the ones that are behind the paywall, $20 a month, $250 a month, and probably going to grow, eventually the free version is going to go away. It's just going to go away. There's no way they're going to give away something for free unless it's that, it's the proverbial, it's free for now, but we're not going to give updates. But the higher echelons are going to have AI for themselves, and they're just going to very easily outpace everybody else. Yep. Shai says, redlining? That's a new term for me. Must have been completely ubiquitous in Southeast Michigan, although some air quotes white flight scenarios took place organically. Redlining must have been done by design too. It was. Let me see if I can look up redlining. And red. Here we go. Redlining is a discriminatory practice where financial institutions, often banks, refuse to provide services, particularly mortgages, to residents of neighborhoods with significant numbers of racial and ethnic minorities. This practice has historically resulted in racial and socioeconomic inequalities, as redlining effectively denies individuals and communities the opportunity to build wealth and participate fully in the economy. And if we go to, I think it's Wikipedia, I'm gonna go here very quickly. And when was this done? Redlining and reverse redlining. In 1960s, sociologist John McKnight originally coined the term to describe discriminatory practices in Chicago, Illinois, of banks classifying certain neighborhoods as hazardous or not worthy of investment due to racial makeup of residents. In the 1980s, a Pulitzer Prize-winning series of articles by Bill Dietman demonstrated how Atlanta banks would often lend in lower-income white neighborhoods, but not in middle-income or even upper-income black neighborhoods. But yeah, this was a real thing. This is a map, 1937 residential security map of Philadelphia, which is where I grew up, classifying various neighborhoods by estimated riskiness of mortgage loans. And this is a map of a red line where these neighborhoods down here, South Philadelphia, Kensington, South Philadelphia at the bottom. There's Kensington was up here in the yellow reddish area. I know this is it's not, damn it. Okay. Anyway, but you get the point. Let's Let's get it bigger. There we go. But you get the point. Now, I grew up further up here in northwestern Philadelphia. We eventually moved from the bad neighborhood and came up into the good neighborhood. This is Philadelphia. That's all the colored part, and then in white here is Jersey, and then to the south is Delaware. So this is what we used to call, not used to, it still is called the tri-state area, and to the very north is New York City, New York, and then above that it's like Boston and whatnot. But yeah, yep. Redlining is a thing, and AI could do it very easily. Yeah, TA says redlining was used by banks and such, using undesirables to control price fluctuations of land and homes so they could buy cheap then sell for an exorbitant price. And what I mean by AI redlining, why I'm doing the two, is that you don't have to live in a community. And AI could analyze your buying habits, your job prospects, it can do an analysis of your potential and then tell banks not to, and jobs and etc., not to give you a chance because you are more destined to not be, you were considered undesirable. Yeah, and they purposefully pushed where those undesirability of given people say would be pushed into things like racism and demanding things that was far worse than it actually was. Yes, the economics created racism is my armchair philosophy, that you make a system that some are the haves, some are the have-nots, and then by virtue of creating a division, people have to rationalize why some are haves and have-nots. Therefore, the have-nots are undesirable. Oh, those people look or act or present themselves to be different than me, therefore they are lesser than me, right? It's like a byproduct of that thing, to rationalize to the human spirit, like why am I not being fair to those other people? Well, they don't eat like me, they don't talk like me, they don't live where I live, that kind of thing. Yep. TA says the ultra rich do not sell off when things are bad. Yep, that is a buyer's market for them. And while things were doing well, they had so much stuff they could sell they could sell a bunch off, preparing for a collapse. Yep. When neighborhoods go bad, they can buy up that property very easily as well. So it's unfortunately it's good to have downturns in the economy, because once people start getting evicted and homeless and neighborhoods get bad, they can buy that property up very fast, kick the people out, and then boom, get the price to go back up again. Yep. TA puts out some data here. Yeah. That's why November 27th and 8th was when the spike happened in 2017 and 2013. Yep, 2008. You get smaller spikes. There you see a 3x split between selling and buying. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to buy this property for $100,000, so cheap, and then eventually it gets resold. That's why I would never move back to Philly, because I can't afford the home that I lived in, that my mom's, I think she's paid $45,000 for it. It's probably $500,000 today in value, the house I grew up in. It's so many years ago that it's not like they stole it. She sold it for a good price, but my point is, yeah, all markets exist on the patient earning by consuming the waste caused by the impatient. Yep. So, AI systems, yay! Yay! Yeah. Divide and conquer. They have been working on that for all of history. Yeah. And I bet they could use AI to make it even easier for them to make us all hate each other, so we learn to leave them alone. Oh, of course. One of the easiest things, what is it? Bread and circuses, or sometimes stick and carrot, right? You create a system of hope. You're not all being oppressed. There's a small group of people here who are getting out of that situation. Why can't you do that thing? Even though it's a very small population of those people, they're the select few that can get out. And then it becomes the if we can get the people to hate each other or some other outside target, then no one looks above them, right? So we listen. The United States has been always based on the next ethnic group to hate. We've hated everybody from nearly every immigrant group has been hated on in the United States for some reason or another to distract us from the people above us doing what they're doing. So, and mind you, the top people being hated, it always moves back and forth, right? Now, it's immigrant Hispanics, and then it was people from the Middle East. And when I say Hispanic and Middle East, it's this generalized, idiotic, I can't tell who they are, so I'm gonna just put them all in the same group kind of thing. Yes, Drew. It's this bucket of like, well, they're from the Middle East, and it's like, no, you dumbass. Those people are from India. They are not from Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or Syria or Libya or something. It's just this dumb, generalized, well, they're Asian, they're Middle Eastern, they're from those they're from Mexico. Well, no, technically they're from El Salvador maybe, or Brazil, or Peru, but you can't tell the difference, but who cares? As long as I've got hate, it's pretty ridiculous, right? Yeah, yep, exactly. Like Shai says, disclaimer, when I say they, it's for the powers that be. Exactly, right? Yeah. Because I seriously have no idea who's really in control behind the scenes. They don't want you to know. But there's something going on behind the political media stage. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like they, them. Of course it's they and them. They don't want you to know exactly who's doing the thing. But if you get enough hatred is an excellent dopamine delivery system. Look at your social medias and you'll understand that dopamine system. From all the hateful clickbait things that happen, and people are like, clickbait, I hate that thing too. Type. I'm not even going to watch the video or read the article. I see a thumbnail and a title to an article or a blog post or something. Hate, type. And guess what? They're even using things like movies, comic books, novels, heck, dance, food to get you so mad. I can't believe they made an Indonesian food place. I hate that place. It's like, you never even had Indonesian food. You don't even know what those people are about. I don't care. I need something to hate today. Click. And it's like, I got my dopamine hit out. And you're like, you do realize you just got manipulated. I can tell you how to know who is not in control. You will never really see those in control. Yeah. Anyone in the system, they have bank accounts that have to be fueled by the fake money that they make. Yeah. Shameless self-promotion. I wrote a song about AI being commanded to protect life and sealing everybody in pods. The last time, I'm just making fun of you, Shy Squad, because I didn't care. The last time I put your video up on my channel, they slapped me and demonetized me. I actually have most of my monetization off, but yeah, they did slap me that time. And I was like, and part of me, I just laughed at it because I was like, YouTube bot, you do realize the person who made that video was literally in the chat with the link that I linked to. It's like, what? But there's no point to fight it. They didn't kill my channel. They were just like, we're gonna have to demonetize you because that's copyrighted material. And I'm like, yeah, because the person who made the song and the video is right there, who gave me permit, whatever. The real string pullers are those who choose how many dollars there are available to fight over. Yep. And by dollars, you won't get dinged by a Bandcamp link. I get it. Yeah, no. Maybe if I play the audio, it will. if I played audio. Um, and by dollars, that includes any other central banking currency like euros or is that um, I can't remember what that is. AUD or yuan. Is it the yen? Yuan? I can't pronounce it. Yeah, but yes, you're absolutely correct there, TA. So anyway, AI dystopia, destruction of all of humanity, how it could happen. By the way, the ironic thing about these AI systems and destroying humanity is that most of it is a byproduct of using it a certain way. So it's not that AI is like, oh, my purpose is to destroy humanity. No, no, no. All it takes is 10% of one, 14% of another, 6% of a third one, 27% of a fourth one. Like, it doesn't have to be one thing. It doesn't have to be Cyberdyne systems. It could be mass attrition and layoffs combined with biases, combined with social manipulation, combined with energy what would you call energy fluctuations and energy hoarding, I guess you could say, where there are more systems, plus the over billionization of these systems where they have to be promoted and advanced because not because they're good, but because people invested money. Venture capitalists put billions, tens of billions, no, dare I say hundreds of billions of dollars in these systems. They better make a return on their money, right? They got to double their money. I put $100 billion in this. I better get 200 billion back. Well, where's it going to come from? It's going to come from the rest of us. How do you extract that? Well, we got to come up with some unique ways to do it. And so AI might, by virtue of how it's used, be the downfall. Like, again, the worst downfall is the business paradox of using AI to lay off or not hire through attrition. We don't need as many human beings to operate our business. Now there's no one making money to pay for your big business where you bet $100 billion to make your money back. Guess what? There's no one to pay for it, right? There's nobody to buy your product. And that's wild. Yeah, also a lot of the hate on this people or that people is misplaced hate. Yep. Misplaced hate on a deep state that those people in question have no more control over than the haters have over their own deep state. Exactly. Right. It's here in the States, it's the people that live in the outskirts of the big city who hate all big city people, and the big city people who think all the people that live out in the rural areas are like bumping nasties with their cousins and they don't have any common sense or knowledge. But the real answer is we're both in the exact same. It looks different, but we're both in the exact same condition and pointing fingers at each other. You know, I'm just making this up, those liberals with their rainbows and stuff like that, they're losing control of the country. And then it's like, oh, the liberal people in the big cities are like those backwards conservatives living out there in the boonies and the farm country and stuff like that. It's like, no, both are wrong and pointing fingers at each other, because there's that war of culture is what's keeping us from looking up above. Yep. I think if you made a true RPG that dives deep into tech concepts and get too close to the truth, I suspect that RPG maker would disappear quickly. Ooh, maybe it is. The best way to deal with it is to replace their system with one far better that deals a blow to their system of 3 stages of power, manufacturing, and refining, recycling, and decentralize that. But anyway, guys, we've gone on long enough for dystopia. Got to get out of here. Got to get out of this place. Do I ever want to get back? Yeah, I want to get back. Yeah, if you hear people in the mid-Southwest talking about Arkansas is the same as what people from Massachusetts and Northeast U.S. talking about Vermonters. Yep. I think that's what you meant. Yeah, same thing, right? It's like everyone pointing fingers at they're the worst, and you're just like, you're missing the point. You're really missing the point. It's not about that. It's about separating the people so that they hate each other, so they don't look above. So anyway, we'll get into we'll finish this out later on. As what is it? AI as tools, AI as a burden, so on and so forth. So guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it, and we will talk later. Peace.